It's Bay. Say hi, Bay.
Hi, Bay.
Stop
I wasn't just
mocking me.
I wasn't. I was mouthing along.
Okay.
I wasn't mocking. I'm sorry. I won't do that again.
Don't make fun of our thing. This is our thing together. What the fuck?
Why would I make fun of it? I get very upset on the one time you don't do it.
That's true. So today we're talking about the fourth book in the Vampire Academy series, Blood Promise. So,
yes.
Food ratings.
The fried chicken Rose has.
I'm gonna go with Nutella and popcorn.
Ooh.
Because it's a good cry food. And I cry every time I read these books, okay?
I know.
I knew I was
the last one was the dry heaving sobbing book.
Yes.
This one was more of the just a constant flow of stray tears.
Yeah, because you're just like the entire time you remember all of your dry heaving, because you do a lot of, if you've read the books before especially, you cry worse, okay? And it's just like, this book was a lot of like
yeah, I mean there was that one moment where you're like and you know the moment.
Yeah. And
and I will say, before I forget it, this book references conversations and things that, because this book has some flashbacks in it of stuff that we haven't seen on page before. Like there's a few Rose Dimitri scenes where Rose is remembering them and they're new to us, It's nice. And it's like, this is how you do flashbacks, because I'm not sitting here wondering, when did they have time?
Yeah.
PC cast.
Well, yeah, because like the timeline of the books makes sense.
Because like these books take place over a short period of time in general, but nowhere near as short a period. Like these books take place, I think, over the course of about 7-8 months, the whole 6 books. Because the school year's already started when it starts, but I don't think it's started too much.
And now we're at it's almost over. We're in May.
Yeah.
By the end of this book.
Yeah, the end of this book, as well as like the end of this, between the end of the last book and the end of this book, it's been oh no, it's not end of May, it's May's beginning. So I think it's been 5-6 weeks, I think she said.
Yeah, it's been 5 weeks by the end of this book. Because we start off on Easter.
Yeah, so
yeah, PC and Kristen Cast, books can cover periods of time. And you know what? Because like in the Mercy Thompson series, some of the books cover like a day or two.
Yeah, but there's big gaps.
Cover a day or two.
Long gaps.
Oh yeah, and some of the books cover like a day or two. Some of the books cover like, I think Bloodbound covers 4 weeks. Like, but then also in between books, like between Mooncalled and Bloodbound, there's a 6-month gap.
Yep.
And between Bloodbound and Iron Kiss, there's another gap. Like there are gaps between these books and stuff like that. This crap takes place over like, it takes place between like May and March of the following year.
Yeah, it's almost a year long.
Yeah.
And like all of it, and that's the thing. Like the thing is, PC Cast and Kristen Cast try so hard to account for every second of the day. They account for all possible time of the day when they write. And because there's no gaps in between the books for the most part, then when the characters are like, oh, well, we binge watched Glee last night or whatever, it's like, when we were there and that did not happen. And how do we know that didn't happen? Because again, we were there. You made us sit there and listen to drivel, and there was no binge watching of any TV shows. I'm sorry.
Well, and also the thing about writing is work smarter, not harder. One of the best things about just, using time gaps like that, or even just using time like that, where you're leaving a lot of things up to the reader's imagination, is you can have implied moments like that where they are binge watching Glee or whatever the fuck. And also, you can kind of just pantomime character relationship development without showing it
Yeah,
because time is passing. Whereas in like the House of Night books, no time has passed. So you have to show us every fucking second or we don't believe you.
Yeah, like everything, like all of like half the conversations in House of Night would make so much more sense if each book took place exact same events and everything, but if they took place over even a week and not a day.
Yeah.
But this is Vampire Academy, and Richelle Mead knows how to write. She is.
Yep.
She's pretty good at what she does.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
she
I like
is.
it.
No, but she really is. Like the books are so good, and
she does, like, while we're still talking about the time thing, like in this book when Rose is with, because we know by now Dimitri is a Strigoi, and Rose is off doing a hunt. That was established in the last book at the end. But like when Rose is with Dimitri in this book, like what? She's with him for a week?
Yeah. I think
something
longer.
like that.
She's with him
a
for
week
like
or
a
two.
good chunk of time, but it feels so floaty.
And like that's part of it as well. She's high most of it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really have a sense of time passing except for the fact that sometimes Dimitri is there and sometimes is not.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. But it's written in a way where you're like, oh, so time is passing and it's vague, but we know that multiple days have passed.
Yeah.
And she only needed I think one sentence to establish that.
Yeah.
If you can write a good sentence, you can skip a week. It's good. We're fine. We don't have to be there the whole week.
Or, another way to do it is chapter 5. Over the next 2 months. 2 months later.
We don't even have to do 2 months. It doesn't even have to be that drastic. It can be 2 days.
But my point is just like you can open with something like that. Like, honestly, just keep it fucking simple. It's not that hard, okay? Because if I just say to you, like, over the next few months, we just kind of did this and nothing fucking happened. I do that I only say that because I think I do that in Liv's. I think it's either over the next 2 weeks or over the next 2 months that I say that verbatim in Liv's craft. Because it's just not that hard. Like, just keep it simple. Just don't overthink it. Just pass time. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and even when because these books do take place over a more realistic timeline, but for their events, there is still time because no matter, even if like the world was going to hell right now in terms of like, just say like World War III broke out, even people that would be like, even people that are on active tours in the army right now, they still have downtime. They still have time for play. They still do shit, even though shit's happening. And we get to experience those moments to some extent in books where, they happen in a reasonable time frame. Like in this. Like with Rose's perspective, right? Yeah, she's off on a Strigoi hunt, but she like pops back into Lissa's head and vicariously parties and whatnot. Like there's still some downtime.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Like House of Night doesn't have any of that because it's just everything is so condensed time frame wise that there's no time for anyone to just chill. I would probably have blown my brains out if I was the main character in House of Night, not just because it's awful, but because every second of every day is so stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would just say, you know what? Let Neferat win. Just kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Just kill me. I need to relax.
Yeah, like somebody give me a Zanny and just be done with it. I'm done.
It's not that hard to write, you know. Actually, well, I mean, like it's difficult to write a really good book, you know, but it's not that hard to write just an interesting, or at least semi-interesting, you know, subplot or moments within plots.
Yeah, there are a lot of like ingredients to good books.
And that is one of them.
That hard.
Yeah, we need human moments.
Like, I guess it is and it isn't, you know?
I think individual aspects of books, like if you break them down into all of their individual aspects, each aspect on its own isn't that difficult.
Yeah.
It's just when you put them all together.
Yeah, it's just putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and the cast don't even have all the pieces of the puzzle. So, like,
yeah, and you can tell that Richelle Mead has thought about what she's writing.
Yeah, and the books are so good.
Yeah,
they're such good books, and
we should talk about this one instead of continuing to talk about House of Night.
Well, we are kind of talking about these books. Like, we're talking about both of them, but it's just hard not.
There's a reason why we decided to do Vampire Academy at the moment as well, because it's a good contrast.
Yeah,
again,
and
vampires, boarding school, elemental magic.
Also, the Covenant series. You're right. The parallels.
Oh God, I know, right?
Such a ripoff.
When I read the first Covenant book, I was just like, "This is Vampire Academy with Greek gods instead of vampires." That's like literally the main difference.
Yeah, and it's bad.
Because Alex isn't likable, but Rose is very likable. And actually, that's one thing we're talking about. Well, we've spoken about it like in the previous 3 streams on these books as well. Like, we see again that Rose is growing and introspecting and realizing, like, she openly accepts and admits that she'd grown resentful of Lissa in this book. There's no more denial of it.
Yeah, and then also the stuff with her mom in this book, because like
what?
Because
I'm sorry.
Because after everything else that happened, I was already still like, I'm fine. And then the mom stuff happens at the end, and I was like, I'm not fine.
I know, but she did kind of like lighten that mood a lot, because with the revelation.
I know. And you're like, I didn't even see that come. Like, I don't know why.
The first time I read this, I don't think I saw it coming either.
You know, I think it's because when I'm actively like just chilling out and reading something, I don't even look for stuff like that.
Yeah, because I've probably read this series probably at least a dozen times, because it's such an enjoyable series. It really is. And each time, like, I just pick up on like more little things about Abe, and I'm just like, I see it. I see that he's daddy.
Yeah, like if you were like somebody looking for all the clues, you totally.
Probably not on the first read, because of how he's portrayed, and the fact that it's like he's working for someone, and he's got like he does have this impression of a mobster.
Yeah,
which is kind of what he is. So it's kind of just like, I think even if you're looking for it, you still probably wouldn't see it, except maybe in the fact that he has some foreign accent that's kind of close. Like, it's not Russian, but it's not unreasonable for that to be heard in Russia. He's olive-skinned, well, Moroi version of olive-skinned and whatnot. So, like, just if you factored those 2 things in, which you kind of don't, in his whole personalities, like, then it's like, oh yeah, maybe, because he's Turkish and Rose's dad is Turkish, and he is dad.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. But like it's enough but like you get enough information that you're like, okay.
I see that. You're not just like, where the fuck did that come from? It makes no sense.
I was happy that's dad. I was excited. I was like,
and
yay!
I love it.
I like
Abe's
that as dad.
Yeah, and Abe is in Bloodlines too, only as a minor character, like very minor. He's not in every book. He's only in 2 or 3 of them, I think. But he just gets better with every scene he's in. He's just better in every scene.
I'm glad that we have I don't know what I was saying, but I guess we're into characters and
yeah.
Anyway, who was I? Oh, Jill. I was like, I'm glad that Jill's back.
Yes, and yep. So
and she's like a character now. It was fun.
Yeah, because last book she only had a scene.
Also, Ambrose was back.
Very briefly, but again, that's what I like about Richelle. She has all of these characters that, like, it didn't have to be Ambrose. It could have just been some random waiter.
But what made it work was that Lissa was in that moment mean to Ambrose, somebody that she had already liked and had a rapport with. So the fact that she was mean
and a
to
mutual
somebody,
respect with,
made like the fact that she was
it
mean
had a greater impact.
Had a much greater impact because like if it had just been like a random person, you would have been like, wow, she's being mean to the wait staff. But you're like, not only are you being mean to like the wait staff, but it's wait staff that you genuinely like.
Yeah, that you're friendly with.
Yeah, and that you highly respect, that has taught you something. Like, what the fuck, Lissa? Like, what's going on, man? So it gave it like a much harder impact, and so it worked.
Yeah, and I do like that her slow, like her unraveling in this book was like, it was, I mean, like, we know why it happened and everything like that, but I guess it's like kudos on making Avery smart.
Yeah.
But like, it was a gradual thing. It was so gradual that until it clicked with Rose that it wasn't Lissa doing it, you thought it was Lissa doing it.
Yeah, you were just kind of with her. You're like, but I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong, because like the only thing that you can think of is like, I guess Avery's a bad influence.
Yeah.
And you're like, I get that part.
Yeah. But and she had the slightest, and there was the slightest little hint that Avery was not all she seemed to be in the scene where Lissa checks her aura. Because it was like all blues and stuff and a little bit of gold.
Yeah, and that's what's so funny is that like at the very beginning of the book, when she first meets Avery, she's like, I don't like her. She's sent here by the queen and it's weird and she's fucking shady as shit. And then all of a sudden she's like, let's like fucking party with her. And I just love it because it's one of the things that I like to do, which is not lie to you. And
yeah,
she didn't lie to us. But we were all like, well, maybe she's not so bad.
Well, because we had also witnessed that scene where she's like, Dad, why do you hate me? I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Which we know she orchestrated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, it was probably also a genuine conversation with her father. However, like, on his side, it was genuine. But yeah, she knew Lissa was about to walk around the corner.
Yeah. And it was just like, damn. So
she may be insane, but she is a smart cookie.
Yeah, she is a smart cookie. And then so the other characters, we meet Dimitri's family in this.
Yes. So he's got 3 sisters, Victoria, Sonia, and Katerina. Was it Katerina? Something with a K?
I forget.
I think it was Katerina.
Cassandra?
No. Oh dear. Oh.
Let me look it up.
Thank God for fandom pages, hey?
Yeah, right.
Carolina.
There it is. Yeah, Carolina. I was like, that sounds right, but it doesn't.
Yeah, don't look up anymore because you're going to get an epic spoiler that we find out in, I think, the last book.
Okay.
And I don't want you to find out until it happens because it makes everything so much more entertaining when you find out and you're just like, oh my God, I had no idea.
Okay.
Because it's nothing that can even be predicted.
Okay.
Like there's no hints of anything. So
Victoria is the one closest in age, I believe, to Rose, right?
yeah, she would be, I think she's 2 years younger than Rose. Carolina's the oldest, and I think Sonia is a year or 2 older, maybe a couple years or so older than Rose, and then Carolina's probably a few more years older than her. And then I think Dimitri is the oldest, though, of them all. And oldest sister has an 8-year-old son.
Yes.
Yep, and a little baby. And middle sister is preggers and cranky.
Yep.
And that's pretty much all we know about middle sister. She's pregnant and cranky.
And Victoria is about to become a blood whore, but we maybe stop her.
Yes. Well, we've at least postponed it till summer.
Yeah. And then there's Mom.
Yes. Oh, frick, what was her name? Give me a second.
Is it Elena?
Yes. Yeah, it was Elena. Oh, yeah, Elena, and then grandmother, who is Yeva.
Grandmother is very entertaining.
She is. The best part is she speaks English.
Yes. She was like, "You speak English?" And she was like, "Yeah."
Yep. So, yeah, she'd spent Rose's entire stay with them speaking in Russian and pretending she couldn't understand her and making the Dimitri's nephew, 8-year-old nephew, translate for her. And then when Rose, literally 10 minutes before Rose leaves, she's like, "What are you doing? Just leave. Go. You shouldn't be here." In an encouraging way, not in a "fuck off, I hate you" way.
Yeah, just in like a, you gotta get out,
Yeah,
man.
you got shit to do. You gotta go find my grandson and kill him. Okay.
Yeah, she's like, "Go murder the love of your life. What's wrong with you?" And Rose was like,
You're right.
I mean, okay.
I like Yebo.
Well, because also Yeva knows that
She's a witchy woo.
He's not gonna die.
Oh no, she doesn't though. Remember, she said because then Rose is like, "So what happens? Am I gonna kill him?" And she's like, I can't see everything.
Okay.
But she knows that Rose needs to kill Dimitri. She knows that Dimitri wouldn't want to be a Strigoi, so I think she's kind of fine with her going to kill him because he's dead already.
Yeah.
This is a confusing conversation. Let's move on. Yep.
Oh, and then there's Sydney.
Yes, Sydney. She is the main character of the Bloodline series. We see her. I don't know if she's in the next book, but she's definitely a major part in the 6th book of this series. She's an alchemist, and the alchemists are their origins are based on the original alchemists, like IRL ones. But then through all of their experiments, they discovered vampires, and they're religious nuts, and they're like, we need to protect the human world from the vampire world. So their job is to cover up any vampire activity.
Okay, the only thing that gave me a hard eye roll in this series was when Rose was like, I've never heard of alchemy. I was like,
I had that too. However, we don't, because alchemists are real in like they're and they don't learn about them until after graduation. Maybe they weren't any part of any of the school curriculum.
they weren't part of my school curriculum either.
I know, but you didn't grow up from like toddler age in a boarding school.
They don't have TV.
They do, but I don't know how much interest Rose isn't very. She's not that keen on
These
reading.
were like
I don't think.
This is like early 2000s. Everybody played Bejeweled and Alchemy. Sorry.
Well,
look,
I don't think Rose did. I don't think Rose did. I am actually willing to believe that Rose hadn't, because she grew up in a very, very, very
never
sheltered
heard the word
environment.
alchemy before.
She probably had some vague idea, but not actually really any idea.
All right, fine. Also, it's also leftover annoyance from House of Night.
I know,
not know what the fuck auras are.
I know, but in this one, I'm willing to give Rose the benefit of the doubt, especially considering her personality.
They move past it so fast. Like, she goes, "What's alchemy?" It gets explained to her, and then she's like, and then she just doesn't keep going. The thing where she does the stuff, and she just says it, because in House of Night, it would have been the thing where she does the stuff, and I would have been like, we've already talked about this, Zoe. Yeah. We've talked about this. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I've no doubt that Rose has heard the word alchemy. She has a vague idea, but she doesn't actually know. And Sydney's just like, so do you know what alchemy is? And she's like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. Because I never gave a fuck enough to care.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like I said, it gets moved past so fast, but it was the one thing that I was like, no.
Yeah, like the only like real life alchemy explanation we got was, well, back in the day, they tried to turn, lead into gold, and then we discovered this, and now we do this.
Yeah.
And so then it's all new information from that first half sentence, which is nice.
Yeah.
But Sydney, she likes, and Richelle Mead knows how to keep character quirks and interests, consistent, because Sydney in this one is shown to have an interest in classic cars, and that doesn't change.
And she's also a history buff,
and that doesn't change,
which made me happy.
Yeah, I love Sydney, and I love Sydney even more once we get inside her head.
She's fun. I enjoyed her. Oh, can you just spoil what happens with Adrian and Jill? Does anything happen?
They get very close in a non-sexy way.
Okay. All right. I didn't know
what happens, and you're waiting to see if I spoil.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh crap! I forgot to give my mom her tablets. I'm a bad daughter because I'm still at my parents. Do you want to just keep going through characters, and I'll be back in a sec?
What other characters are
there? Strigoi.
Okay, so there are Strigoi. There's Nathan, who is he's a bad G. He's actually, I believe Nathan's the guy that turned Dimitri. He awakened him and made him a Strigoi. And we get to see him and speak to him and say hello. And he gets stabbed to death, but that's later. And then there's, I forget what her name is because it's Russian. But once we're with Dimitri, there's like the big bad of the Strigoi that Dimitri is with. And Dimitri like wants to kill her and take over all of her assets. Like, you know, it's very mobster-esque of him. And I'm trying to think who else. There's also a human like servant girl in that house, and she is in love with Nathan. And so that's a thing. I forget what her name is too. I think it's like Ayana, maybe. I should have written these down. But yeah. Oh, and then jumping back over to where Lissa is. Avery has 2 minions, and we'll get into that later. And I forget what their names are too. Because I just have a bad memory today. But she's got 2 minions, and they're both like big and scary. And at first, like, that's all you kind of know is that they have like super weird vibes, and we're just like not sure what's up with them or why they gotta be so fucking creepy. And so that's that thing there. So yeah. Trying to think of anybody else, if I'm missing anybody else. Because I don't think I am. And I'm bad at talking by myself. They save me. Oh, I guess I could talk about the setting. So one of the settings that, because usually we do talk about settings and when we change settings, but we haven't had a reason to talk about settings lately because we are in a series. But so in this series, or so in this book, we go to Russia and we start out in St. Petersburg, and then we go to Omsk. And I was a little confused at first because they were calling Omsk like a small village. But then it was just because we were inside Rose's head. And I thought that that was a really good detail because Rose calling Omsk a small village makes sense. Like, if you don't know that Omsk is a...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. Because if you don't know that Omsk is actually like a major Russian city, because it's in...
Yeah, I thought you were saying that he lived in a small village outside of Omsk.
Well, but in Rose's head at first, what I think is a good detail is that in her head, Omsk is a small city. And this is only because I know about this.
About Siberia.
Because there is a book series I want to set in Russia, and I want to, I like, you already know about this. I want to set it in that city. Omsk is a major railroad city in Russia.
Yeah.
And so today it actually is a major city in Russia. And so I was like, wait, what? And then Rose was like, oh shit, we're in a city. And I was like, that's a good detail, because when you're in somebody's head, you know, what they're thinking is not necessarily what's actually like true.
Yeah.
At least like their first impressions of something. So
the cathedral in Omsk is pretty. Oh.
Yeah, Omsk is an interesting.
Freaking kidding
me. Here, I'll look it up.
You can bring it up.
Yeah. Give me
a
second.
It's the Assumption Cathedral. God God, Russia has like some of the weirdest architecture, and I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it really is. But yeah, because I was like, wait, but it's a major city. And then she got there and she was like, oh wow, this is a major city. And I was like, I like what you did there.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I also
God.
liked what?
Anyway.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's what it looks like.
it's pretty.
It's very pretty. I love that I love that everything in Russia looks like a gingerbread house. It makes me happy. It just does. I'm like, ooh, Christmas everywhere.
Yeah, Russia, like Russian cities, again, they have some of the most fucking bizarre shit that was ever built, and it works, and I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, if someone was to build that in Sydney, I'd be like, the fuck are you doing?
But in Russia, it works.
In Russia, it works. It's like if you see like near me as well, that someone built like a house that looks like it belongs across the road from a beach. I live out in suburbia, so it looks fucking weird. And I'm like, that house doesn't belong here and it's fucking ugly. Whereas if it was across the road from the beach, it would be a nice house.
But just to give you an idea of what this place looks like.
Are you looking up other, like just the city in general pictures?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, so it's like, obviously it's not like a major, major city. It's a very, very minor city. However, it is.
But for a place, because Russia doesn't have a ton of major cities, it is a major city because the rail lines pass through it. So
no, like I'm just saying, like for example, next to Manhattan, that looks like a kid's playmat.
Yeah. But Russia doesn't have one of those. Sorry,
No.
Russia.
And out of Russia, Siberia definitely doesn't have one of those.
Which is where Omsk is. Well, it's like about to be. It's
Siberia.
Yeah, it's Siberia. It's not too far because Siberia is more like way over over Asia, and Omsk is Omsk is like
Siberia,
closer to the European side of Russia. It's not.
Yeah, Omsk is right above, like probably about it's about an hour's drive north of Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Looking at this map. That says the bird flies. Like, I don't know about on actual roads. But it looks about an hour's drive north of Kazakhstan.
Oh yeah, never mind. Ignore me. It is farther east than I thought it was. Than I remembered it being. I'm an idiot. Ignore me. I'm tired. I forgot.
You're thinking of one of the other cities, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck though, honestly. Fuck, what's the Russian alphabet called? Again?
Cyrillic. The Cyrillic alphabet.
I thought it was that, but I didn't want to say Cyrillic in case it was wrong. It looks freaking weird because it looks like English but typed weird, and then it doesn't, and I don't know what to make of it.
Like English, like the Latin alphabet, but like if you fucked up.
Yeah, if you sneezed halfway through writing your B type thing.
The Cyrillic alphabet's really interesting. I really I love languages and stuff, and
yeah,
I wish I could like dual major in linguistics, but you can't do that.
Part of like and it's funny because like some of it, right? Like you look at some of the, because if you look at it on Google Maps, you get like the English alphabet version and the Cyrillic alphabet version,
Mm-hmm. Google's a
and
bro.
some of them look pretty close. Like you're like, yeah, I can see how that word is that word, and then other ones you're like, I don't get it.
Linguistics is fun.
Oh, how cute! So just north of Omsk, there's Omsky. I like that. It's like baby Omsk.
That probably is actually what it means.
Probably. Maybe in a, more dignified translation. But
yeah, in a much less.
Yeah, it just looks like, a little bit of suburbia. Like there's like Omsk, then fields, because directly outside of a major city in Siberia are fields, because, it's Siberia, I guess. And then there's just like, it's like, I guess some people might want to live here, so let's just build a couple hundred houses and we'll call it Omsky.
I just love that every time they talked about Siberia, he was like, Rose,
I
live
nothing.
in the southern part, okay? It's basically Montana. And she's like, it's a frozen wasteland, you idiot. And I'm like, nobody lives up there, Rose. It's very cold.
I guess it would be on par with saying like that someone lives like in Montana, lived in like, the north of Canada.
Yeah. Well, because also like, for example, like in Norway and like Sweden and Finland, people live like in the southern parts and they do live up top, but like
very
not on
sparingly. Very sparingly.
Nobody chooses that.
And except unless you're one of the scientists that do.
Yeah. Like, but.
And they only live there temporarily. They go there for their projects and then they come home.
Yeah. Like, everybody lives near, like, Denmark.
Yeah. If you live in a northern. Yeah. If you live in a country at the northern end of the northern hemisphere, you live in the south of that country.
Yep. Exactly.
Like, if you were to look up, like, for example, Alaska's population, you will find that there is literally like 3 clusters of lights. If everyone was lit up, there'd be like 3 clusters down in the bottom and some lights in between and pretty much none up top.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do.
I also just think it's interesting that like we don't have anything like that at the Southern Pole.
Well, that's because we kind of don't have, like there's one landmass down there and the entire landmass is too cold.
I know, that's what I mean. It's like we don't. Anyway, we are so off topic.
Yes.
Did I get everybody as far as characters go?
Yes. Avery's lackey's us, her brother Reed, and her guardian Simon.
Okay. So. Story.
You did very well. You even went into the characters that we would probably just mention if they were relevant to the plot.
You were gone a while.
You were stalling. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just like, You're right. Okay. Story time. Story stuff.
So Rose is stalking a nightclub.
Yes.
She pretended to be a blood whore wannabe to get info and from a Moroi, and he was like, fuck off. Like, the Guardian was, sorry. And she's like, okay, I'll go. And she left. And then she heard someone following her, thought it was the Guardian. And then it was like some blonde chick. And she's like, the fuck are you? And she's like, why are you leaving dead Strigoi everywhere? And then Strigoi attack. And Rose kill. And then Sydney's like, for fuck's sake, and poured potion and made him go and dissolve. And then we learn about alchemy.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes. And then we learn about Sydney, and Sydney is like, you can't just like leave dead bodies, Rose. And Rose is like, what am I supposed to do? Like take them places? What the fuck? And she's
Am I
like, why
supposed to take him back to my hotel room with me?
Yeah. And then she's like, you're supposed to call us. And she's like, call who? Ghostbusters? Like, what the fuck do you think you are? And she's like, I am an alchemist. And she's like, oh, what? And then they do the thing. And then she's like, okay. And then she's like, well, maybe you can help me. I'm trying to find my boyfriend, but she doesn't say it like that. She's like, I'm trying to find a place. And do you know where it is?
Yeah, she's like, I'm trying to find a Dampy colony near Omsk. And she's like, yeah, I guess.
And so she's like, let me like call a guy. And so then she's like, hi. We don't see this, but in my head, she's like, hi. So I have like a stupid bitch who keeps eating people.
Eating people.
By that, I mean killing Strigoi and leaving their bodies everywhere. Do you want me to like babysit her? Anyway, so they get on like a train to go to Omsk.
Yes.
And
a lot of the stuff we see there is more character building for Sydney.
Yeah.
Sydney's kind of a bit too freaked out to sleep in the same compartment as Rose, because the Alchemists are like all vampires, not just Strigoi, but Moroi and also Dampiers being vampire half-breeds. They're all evil.
Well, and subtly too, what I noticed is that this sets you up as the reader. Like, while it's building up Sydney's character, it also sets you up as the reader to maybe see Strigoi as more on an even playing field with Dampiers and the Moroi. Yeah. Because the Alchemist, she's like, yeah, they're dicks, but like, so are you. And
yeah, she's like, the only difference is they're worse.
Yeah.
So we have a tentative alliance with you guys because they're the main problem. So,
but she's like, you guys are still assholes.
Yeah, like the way we don't find this out until it's hinted at here, but later on it's more just like Moroi and Dampier is kind of like they're keen to stick to themselves. They kind of don't hurt anyone. We don't like them and they're evil, but they're not the worst kind of evil. So
yeah, because she's like,
they're a decent ally.
Yeah, because she's like, Moroi eat people. They turn them into blood whores. They get you high. They get you addicted. It's weird. And then she's like, but Strigoi are evil. Like, you're all evil. And also, you're like a weird abomination.
Yeah.
And she's just like, well, that's just rude. And but it does set you up also just very so subtly as the reader to kind of, before you see Dimitri again, to back off of your,
it's all about perspective.
Yeah, Strigoi are like gonna be bad all the time, because as the reader and just knowing how books go, you know that there's gonna be a workaround for Dimitri. Like,
Dimitri can't be dead.
Yeah, like
it's a YA novel.
Yeah, it's a YA novel, and so but also it is being set up in a way that it's not just a fucking cop-out.
Yes, and because we see like previously it's just been like Strigoi's attack, they maim, they kill, they slaughter, and that's pretty much just been it without Strigoi interaction so far.
Yeah.
We see a lot more of the inner workings of them, their politicking, and ultimately what they are functioning like high functioning sociopaths.
Yep.
That's what they are. They're not, I don't think they're evil. They just don't care. Like, they're not just like, mwahaha, I am going to take over the world. They're not doing that. They're just like, no, I just don't give a fuck about your life, so I'm going to kill you.
Essentially, they're unreformed red vampires.
Can we not?
I'm saying that like House of Night does an awful job of it.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Like, I'm not saying it in a good way at all.
Yeah.
On House of Night's part, like, this is fine. Because also, like, the idea of a vampire, like, being bad and then you having to come back to the light side. Like, that's a thing. Because, like, it's a thing in the Vampire Diaries, too. Like, when you can shut off your humanity. Like, it's not unique to anything.
Yeah.
So,
like, with this, if you are a Strigoi, you are a sociopath.
yeah.
And that's all there is to it. However, there is a way to come back from being a Strigoi, we discover in the series.
Yes.
So that's, spoiler alert, that's Dimitri's salvation.
Yeah. So,
Next book. So they catch the train. They have some idle chit chat. Rose asks Sydney more questions. That's about it. Then they get off the train and they have to drive the rest of the way. Rose gives money, because Rose has a big chunk of money from Adrian from the end of the last book. So she gives Sydney money to go buy a car to drive the rest of the way to the village. And she buys a classic car. I can't remember what it is, but she buys one and gushes over it for a minute, which I like because it's cute.
mm-hmm.
They
especially
drive.
liked it because she went, do you know how hard these would have been to get in the Soviet days? And Rose was like,
Okay.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and I also just kind of liked Rose's moment of like, because Sydney had already explained that being an alchemist is hereditary. Like, it's generally the oldest kid of each family becomes the family alchemist. And she's like, so what does your mum do? Like, your dad's an alchemist. What does your mum do? And she's like, she's a mechanic. And Rose is like, but she's a girl. Oh, wait, I'm a god. Like, I want to be a guardian. Like, I just like that Rose had that moment of, a woman mechanic? How absolutely dare you?
Yeah, she's like, a female mechanic. Oh, yeah, okay.
I can't talk.
And she's like, a female mechanic. How fucking weird is that? Yeah, okay.
Like, this was internal. She didn't say it to Sydney.
Yeah, but it was.
I like that she had that moment.
It was good.
Again, it just also shows a bit of it shows a level of self-awareness.
Yeah. In
a trivial way, but it still shows it.
Yeah, but it shows you something. But moments like that are important because they, like, throwaway things are good because when you make them matter, they're not just throwaway moments.
Yep, and with Rose, us seeing the fact that she can be introspective and all of that crap, it's not one big moment of like aha. It's like a series of small moments with the occasional aha thrown
Exactly. And this is why when you give your characters quirks and interests and a personality, and you show them and you show those personality traits in smaller moments, when big things happen, you don't have to worry about those big moments not making sense because you've already seen her, like we just said, do something like a woman mechanic, like inside her head, a woman mechanic, how fucking, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I can't talk.
And yeah, so it made her acceptance of her resentment of Lissa
and her mom.
And all of the different contradictions within each of those things make sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Rose fully was aware of how contradictory her feelings about her mother were until her mother was like, here's a mirror, look into it, what do you see? Type thing. And then Rose is like, oh yeah, okay. It's gonna take me a bit to work through this, but maybe we can try and find a middle ground.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, because like you also fully understand that like that those are really like the feelings that she's having are justified child abandonment feelings.
Yes.
You get it, you know, like as a human being, you understand it.
Yeah.
And but you also are like, yeah, okay, and good for you for working it out. And yes, you do also get sad when bad things happen to them because like at the end of the day, they're people. And this is why this is why you don't necessarily have to see yourself in a character to relate to them and to empathize with them.
No, you just have to feel like you know them.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't really see myself in Rose at all.
No.
Like,
maybe when she gets mad and gets a temper on.
yeah, like, that's kind of the only
that's
time.
about it.
Like, otherwise, I don't at all. But I feel a lot of stuff, like, when things happen to her, because you're like...
fuck, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, because you give a shit. Because,
But, and she doesn't even just do it for Rose, who's, you know, like at the end of the last book when Lissa and Rose had that fight and Lissa was devastated that Rose had been holding all this shit back from her and
I was devastated for Lissa.
Yeah.
And in this book, I was devastated for Lissa. All the Lissa stuff made me cry.
You know what though, and one thing I really love about this book as well is it's given their relationship such a great chance to grow because like
when Rose sat down and told Lissa everything, including like the blood horse stuff, I was like,
yeah. And then because we'll get to this bit when we get to this part of the book, but like, and when Lissa's like, and next time you go off on a suicidal mission, I'm coming.
Yeah, because also when Lissa has that moment of like, it didn't even occur to me to go with her, and she's just like, I'm a piece of shit. I was like, ugh.
But like, I can see why Lissa felt that way, but it's also like, Lissa, it's not your fault because this isn't that's not the reality you were raised in.
Yeah.
She was raised as like one of 4 of a royal line. There was only 4 people in her line left, so they were incredibly protected. And then after the other 3 died, she was even more sheltered and protected. So she just never knew she had to, like that was even, like she grew up in a world where that's not even something you consider.
Yeah, like
so they all grow. All of the side characters have growth, and I like it.
Because it makes them people, and it makes the world evolve and exist, and it's just it's a lot.
Because the 2 series combined overall have such a big cast, and each person in the cast, you know, you do feel like you get to know to some extent, and they all have like little bits of growth. Even the most minor of characters, they all have growth, and I love it.
Yeah.
Where are we up to? Oh yeah, so they stop for the night.
Yeah.
Rose wakes up and she's like, oh, there's a Strigoi nearby. So she goes to do a hunt, and then there's 2, and she's about to die, and then she's like, ghosts. I was about to say ghosts come to me. But you know what?
Not like that. It's an accident, and she doesn't say anything out loud.
No, she just freaks out, and that kind of made her mental barriers drop. And the dead hate the undead because the undead should be dead, and they're not. So the ghosts are like, fuck you, Strigoi. So then they swarm the Strigoi, and the Strigoi are like, ah! And then but she's hurt. And then she has like this weird, like half passed out montage thing.
Yep.
And then wakes up in some random house.
Yep.
Oh, we haven't done the Lissa bits yet. Because also throughout this book, we find out what's happening at school because Rose just keeps popping. The Bond makes such a convenient thing because Rose is on the other side of the fucking planet, and we still get to find out what's happening at school.
Oh, it's a plot contrivance, but like, you let it slide because the books are good.
And it gets used a lot in the last book as well.
Yeah, like it gets used a lot, and you're kind of like, but it's not.
I mean, I think probably because it was pre-established before it was such a important plot device.
But also because she has so much downtime and like she uses it as escapism. There are so many things that make you like not see it. It's just like, well, this is fucking convenient. You know what I mean? Because otherwise you would. But because Rose is using it for escapism, and there's like a time when she's high when she's with Dimitri, and she's like, maybe this will get my head straight. Like she uses it in ways that are practical within the story. So like she's not just using it as like let's go see what's going on over here because there's no other logical way for me to show it to you and I'm lazy. It's actually being used in the story. So you're kind of like, so it just isn't an issue.
And then the few time, and then when it's also just because, Rose is just like, well, I've got nothing better to do right now. Let's go hang out with Lissa.
Exactly. And
it's explained away as though like even though Rose left her, she's still Rose's best friend. And Rose has been incredibly protective over her they've been best friends since they were 5. Rose is now 18, so 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense when Rose is like, I miss Lissa, let's go see how she's going.
Yeah, and so when it's used, and here's the thing, when you plan something out, you can do things like that and not have it just be like, well, this is awfully fucking convenient, you asshole. And just I also the way it's used within the book.
And I also kind of like that we kind of like change perspectives without being like, chapter 5, Zoe. Chapter 6, kind of, Kelowna.
That kind of perspective swapping is usually used in things like romance novels.
Yeah, I mean, it happened, like it happened in one of the Mercy Thompson books. All of Alpha Omega, it switches between the two. Morganville from, I think, maybe the last third has mixed perspectives, but that's because they're separated so much. But House of Night, there's kind of no point most of the time because half the time they're all together.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, why are we swapping?
Yeah. But I mean, in Alpha Omega, like while they're still often together for most of it, it's also like they started off separately. It was established from the get-go that it was going to be between the two of them, and it's only the 2 characters that it swaps between. So I can live with that. A two-person POV book isn't too big a stretch, but when it's like 15 different POVs in a book.
Oh, and a new one gets added every book.
Sometimes even just for a half scene, like Heath's POV was like literally one scene and then he died.
Yep. Anyway,
fuck you, Maggie, because the characters choose to.
Oh God,
that's probably their reasoning. Heath wanted his death scene from his perspective. Okay,
you know what? And I fucking can't. I can't deal with that when I can't deal with it when any author says it. Like, my characters in the story just get away from me, and I let my characters just flow through me. Like, shut the fuck up.
That only works if because there's 2 writing styles, as we all know. There's the outlining one, and I don't know what the other one is actually called, but
people call it
someone
pantsing.
Refer to as pantsing. That's what I was, because you're
planning and pantsing.
Yeah.
And if you don't plan, I'm sorry, planning's the only way. Pantsing is for wussies.
Oh, if you're a very skilled writer, and a lot of like you'll find a lot of people that write like epically long like crime novels and stuff like that. A lot of those are outliners, but also a lot of them are pantsers.
Hot take: if they had outlined, the book would have been better. I'm sorry.
That's what reviewing is for, and they just write and then they review and edit and fix plot holes.
Well, that's kind of the thing, though. Like, that's still outlining, in my opinion. Like, because if your first draft can just be you like dribbling, and I actually kind of want to try writing a book like that, where I do just fucking go and see what happens, and then like go back and make an outline out of the first draft.
Yeah, I mean, like, these are probably also people that have published like fucking 40, 50 books.
Yeah.
And everything. So like they can probably outline in their head as they're going.
Yeah, but like I don't agree with the practice of not planning out your books. And I'm hardline on it. But I do want to try it. But if I was ever going to publish it, I'd go back and I'd outline what I have, and then I'd look at it and I'd fix it. And I would make character profiles, and I'd double check everything like a motherfucker afterwards.
Yeah. If you want to do a pants, that's what short stories are for. For 99% of the population, pantsing is for short stories only.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, a short story doesn't have subplots. It's just got plot. You've got an A and B, and and you just need to get from A to B, and that's it.
And also, if you're going to pants a book, I don't think you could pants a series.
Yeah, you'd find that like for what's that TV show that was based on the Tom Clancy books? Jack Ryan, is that right?
I'm not sure.
John Krasinski plays him in the TV show. If it's that one, I'm sure Maggie will confirm in chat in a minute what the name of the thing is. Like books like that, because each book is it's technically a series, but each book is a self-contained story. Like completely like most adult crime novels and stuff are. Like you've got the same, I think it was Netflix, yeah. You've got the same protagonist, but it's a different, like a cop, for example, but every story is a new crime to solve.
Mm-hmm.
You could pants a series like that because it's just, but not.
Because it's like kind of like an anthology series.
Yeah. Yep. Jack Ryan. Okay. But again, though, only if you're an incredibly skilled writer can you pants a novel. Like, again, probably someone that is like well into their, probably well into their midlife.
Yeah.
And has been writing their entire life. So someone who's been writing for 40 years might be able to pants a book.
And like I said, it could be like a good exercise. I want to try it just because I think it'd be interesting to see what happens. But
yeah. Also, another way you can pants a book is if you're writing a novel, like a novelization of a real life event or series of events.
Yeah.
You could probably pants that because it's only kind of fiction.
Anyway, I guess we'll jump over to some of the Lissa stuff.
Yeah. So pretty much with Lissa, I think at this point, all it is she gets caught. She bitches to Christian about the Queen making her do all this royal duty shit. And then she goes to meet Headmistress Korova, who's been fired, but not really. She's been demoted.
Yeah.
And there's a new principal or headmaster, and he brought his two children with him. One of them is still in school. The other one is a year older than Lissa, and that's Avery. But he made Avery come with him, but I think Avery kind of wanted to come. She probably manipulated events to get this to happen. Because as far as Lissa and Adrian are the only two known spirit users to the general community. And the goal there is it's like maybe you can be Avery's friend, please. And
yeah.
Lissa's like, no.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because, like I said earlier, and so I won't like elaborate really. It's just one of those things that now that I'm looking back that I like to do, which is not lie to you. And like she's just like, she's fucking shady.
Yeah.
And because it's like the one time, it's like kind of the last time that you see Lissa as herself. And
Yeah.
as herself, as a spirit user, she's like, she's fucking shady. And the second she starts being compelled and like under Avery's control,
Yeah.
she no longer feels that way. And
Yeah, well,
it's good.
The first time Lissa asked Avery to hang out with them, I don't think she was being compelled then either. Like, I think Avery again staged the conversation with her father in the sense that she made it happen at the time and place that she wanted, where Lissa would overhear. And Lissa was like, "Oh, I feel bad for her. Okay, you can come hang out with us." They hung out a bit, and she's like, yeah, I get, like, because again, spirit use is very charismatic and whatnot. So Lissa's like, maybe I was wrong, I'm not sure. And then Avery starts feeding her the drinks.
Yeah.
And again, it's done so subtly that, like, for example, later on in the book, it's like Avery, like, it's just a throwaway sentence of Avery had convinced Lissa that drinking mimosas was okay, like, for breakfast. But we find out later that Avery had just been kind of keeping Lissa in a constant state of being affected by alcohol, which lowered her defenses. So Avery could compel her.
Yeah.
So it's, there's only the first 1.5 interactions with Avery is Lissa being Lissa.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, like, as this is happening, where she's starting to drink alcohol, is that you're not like, you kind of buy it because, like, she's upset, and so you're like, okay, and like you kind of see why she'd fall into it, but then like you start to just be like, Lissa, what are you doing?
Yeah, but again, it's written in such a way, like, Avery's manipulation of her has been so subtle that that's literally all you're thinking.
Yeah.
Lissa, what are you doing? Why is this happening?
Exactly.
Which is nice. It was done looking back, you can see all the signs, but when you're reading it, it's just because it's all done in throwaway sentences.
Yeah.
Or what appear to be throwaway sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little comment here, a little comment there. And again, it's just the briefest dimensions. Like, again, Avery told Lissa it's okay for them to drink mimosas for breakfast. And blah, 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 blah. And then this was happening. And here's a distraction. And you're like, okay, well, let's focus on the distraction. But I think that's pretty much all we've been up to with Lissa at this point.
Yeah.
The initial meeting with Avery and maybe hanging out with her once by this stage. And then Rose wakes up in this house and she's like, where the fuck am I? And then she's talking to Dimitri's mother. She's like, I'm Elena Belikova. I'm guessing Russians have feminized and masculine surnames.
Sorry, what was the question?
I said, I'm guessing Russians have masculine and feminized surnames.
Yes, they do. So, so we meet. Who did you say that we meet?
Elena.
Yeah, and
Dimitri's mom. I just need to see if this is my kid crying or the neighbor's kid crying.
Okay, you're good. Yeah, so they do have masculine and feminine surnames. Especially, I forget what I was going to say, but yeah, that is a thing that they do. I forget what the prefixes and suffixes are. Hold on. Trying to think. Because, like, Dimitri's Belikov, and Wikipedia. I know this is how I looked it up before. Sorry, there's going to be dead air for a second. And also, if you ever want to know about this, Google something surname etymology and then go to Wikipedia. That's usually how you find it. Yeah, it's because it's Eastern Slavic surname etymology. And usually, I forget, like, I forget how it's done. Sorry.
Her last name's Belikova. So hers is just with an A on the end.
I think there's like, okay, maybe I was looking up ancient ones when I did it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't think that's what I have written down. But, yeah, you're right. I made that harder than it needed to be. Sorry.
Yeah. And again, it's nice that there's not this whole like conversation of why is your last name Belikova and his is Belikov. It's just like they just expect that you'll be smart enough to go, oh, I guess women have an A on the end of that last name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just expected that you'll catch on, even if you don't actually know. But yeah, so she realizes she's in Dimitri's childhood home and she starts to freak out a bit, but like manages to contain it somewhat. Doesn't tell them, she doesn't know what to say to them yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then after talking to him briefly, she realizes like that they don't know that Dimitri either died or was turned.
Yeah.
Like they don't know. They think he's still off guardianing in the US.
Yep.
And she's like, fuck, how do I tell them that their son / brother / uncle / grandson is dead? Fucking great. And yeah, she finds out that she was taken to Elena specifically because while she was in her half passed out phase thing, she must, like she said, the surname Belikov.
Yeah.
Plus also Elena is kind of like a healer.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry.
You're good.
And then yeah, she finds out that this guy named Abe Mazur brought her there, and she's like, I don't know who that is. And they're like, he's a bad man, stay away from him type thing. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then Dimitri's sister Victoria takes her for a tour around the village or town, because it's kind of like halfway between them. And then Rose decides, like, okay, no, it's time to tell them. I need to tell them. So she calls a family meeting, and she doesn't say Dimitri's dead or was turned. She just starts saying, she's just like, I know Dimitri. He was my teacher, my mentor, this, that. There was an attack, and she more or less just went into it all. And they knew what was like by the time she got to saying he was turned, they knew that it didn't end well for him.
Well, they knew he was dead, and then they were like, is he dead? And she's like, no.
He's a Strigoi, and they're like, well, he's dead.
Except for his grandmother.
Yes.
Who's like,
his grandmother is like, in her head, she's like, why are you here? And not like, okay, you've told us, now fuck off and kill him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they more or less plan a memorial type thing, and they start asking Rose to tell stories about him, and they all clicked on really, really quickly that they were involved, which I think is nice.
Yeah, and then they're not judgy about it, which I thought was nice.
Yeah. So Rose gets super, super, super drunk on Russian vodka, stumbles
Which
off the
was
bed.
cute.
Yes.
It was cute because at first she's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then
And she
she's
just
like,
made herself keep drinking until it didn't burn anymore.
yeah.
Which, if you're drinking full strength Russian vodka, that is not a tactic I would advise.
No.
Because by the time it stops burning, you're fucked.
Yeah, by the time it stops burning, it doesn't burn because you're too drunk to feel burning. That's why it doesn't burn anymore.
Yeah, no, everyone else there feels the burn too. They're just used to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not feeling the burn, go to bed.
Yep.
With
it's
a
bedtime.
big glass of water.
It was sad though.
Yeah. No, before that though, she ended up stumbling away from the funeral while drunk.
Yeah.
And sitting out on the street, and then random Zmei, who is Abe Mazur. Zmei is Russian for snake.
Mm-hmm.
And he appears and he's like, "Why are you here? Go home, little girl, go home." And she's like, "You're dressed," and she's just like, "You're dressed awfully flamboyantly, and don't tell me what to do. You ain't my father." Type attitude, which actually he is. But yeah, and I do like as well that Rose is like, there's just a few little things like Rose is like, he has multiple guardians, but he's not royal, and this makes zero sense.
Yep.
That's because they're not guardians, they're Dampy bodyguards. So they're hired by him because he's that rich that he can pay
He's such a fun character though, and when you first meet him,
so fun.
You're just like excited. I was excited because you're like, he's shady as fuck, and like honestly, I was kind of scared of him.
Is. Oh,
and you're kind of freaked out
that's
for
the
her.
thing. And the thing is, the more you get to know about him, the more you realize, like, he says something to her. I'm pretty sure it's in that conversation, I can be a very good friend or a very bad enemy.
And you believe him.
And the more, yes, and the more, and it's not one of those things where, like, you know, in a lot of like books or shows, the more you get to know a character like that, the more they're not like that.
Yeah.
No. The more you get to know him, the more you're like, no. I do want you on my side. I do not want you as an enemy. You are a scary being, and I wish you were my father as well, so you would feel this sense of loyalty to me.
Yep.
And would never hurt me.
Because you know that, like, he's fucking terrifying, but he's not going to hurt her, but you're still scared of him. You're like, but he'd hurt me. You're like, he's not going to hurt her, but we're in her head, which is good. But he'd out me, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and like Sydney was like is funny in regards to him in this book, and again we find like we get to see it from a non-daughter's perspective in Bloodlines, what it's like to have a relationship with the man, because and one thing Rose said about him as well as or thought about him is he might be Moroi, but he looks like he's one of the few Moroi that actually gives a fuck about knowing how to throw a punch.
Yep.
Like,
and like Rose's, I feel that too, because also she's like, and he's big.
Yeah,
and they're big.
Yeah, and Rose is like, I wouldn't be surprised if the bodyguards are more for show and he does most of his dirty work himself.
Yeah, and you're like,
I'd buy it, but he's so happy.
Yeah, and that also makes him scarier.
Yes,
because you're like,
he's so happy and charming.
You're like, he's so cheerful, and I don't like it. You're like, he's not even Because like
Yeah.
he's not scary enough to be that scary, but then he's so fucking terrifying. But then you're like, but he's so happy, and I'm whoop.
And what makes him even more scary is the fact that he doesn't wear dark suits. He wears flamboyantly bright suits.
Well, he wears, and this is something that I love. He wears very Turkish clothes,
And he wears a neck scarf.
One of my favorite professors is Turkish, and so it made me happy because once I heard the accent, this narrator actually did a good Turkish accent because I recognized the accent. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I recognize that.
And her Dimitri voice isn't too bad. It didn't make me cringe like in the first book. Like, it's accented, but it's not cringy accented.
No, because the thing is, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Russian accents.
It's not an overly thick one.
No, and so me not being the biggest fan of the accent is more me not necessarily liking listening to Russian accents rather than the performance.
Yeah.
That's all.
And this is the narrator that we have for the rest of this series and all of Bloodlines as well.
And I like that she's able to do the accent.
Yes. And I love her Adrian accent until the male narrator comes in, because they switch perspectives in the last 2 or 3 Bloodlines books. And after that, Adrian's voice changes. He loses his almost Australian accent.
Yeah.
It was a bit shaky. It was a bit more British, especially towards the beginning of the book. But it just gets more Aussie until he gets American. Because all of the Ivashkovs speak in that accent, by the way, with her. Tatiana does.
I like it.
His parents too. It's great.
I like it.
But oh yeah, so Abe's like, yeah, do as I say or you will not be pleased with results. And she's like, fuck off, old man. And that becomes much like Comrade became Dimitri's pet name with her. Old man is, yeah.
I like the way that she nicknames people.
Yeah.
Because she more like, usually when she nicknames people, she's like, oh yeah, comrade. And then it just becomes a thing. And it's cute.
And same with Abe. It's just like, shut up, old man. Or you don't scare. I think it was like, you don't scare me, old man.
Yeah.
And then after that, he's just old man.
And it's cute. Because also, he's her old man.
Okay, I have a question.
Why
is it if you refer to your old man, you are talking about your father, but if you're talking about your old lady, it's your woman?
I don't know. That's true. And also, like, my old man is more of like a son to father relationship.
Yeah.
So it's not really like, I don't think it's like a conscious nod from the author. It might have been. I wouldn't put it past her, but I don't think it was. But it's just something I'm like, but on top of that, it works. And I'm like, it all works on all the levels, and I like it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I just got a flashback, like flash forward to like her like mommy moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that and after the funeral's over, she stumbles up to bed. I think she goes to Lissa's head. Lissa's hungover because it's after the first time that her and Avery have hung out. And and then Avery decides to bail them out of class and by pulling fire alarms. And so they go off and do some day drinking.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it with that. And then back to Rose being like the bed is being kicked and shook, so she wakes up, and it is Grandmama Gabel, and she's having a go at Rose in Russian, and little Nephew Pooh is there, and he's like, "You have to get up now." And she's like, fuck off. And she's like, no, she's not going to stop until you get up. So get up. And Rose like, okay. And then Ava starts bossing her about and just starts loading her up with bags and boxes. And one of the boxes feels like it's really heavy and feels like it's filled with bricks.
Yep.
And then she makes her walk a few Ks or miles to some random house. And a Moroi woman is like, thank you for this stuff. And then opens the box and lo and behold, it was filled with bricks. The bitch made a chick who is heavily hungover the day after her lover's funeral. After 4 hours of sleep, she made her carry fucking bricks, a box full of bricks, because that's
what you do.
That's what you do. And
but why?
But
why? Because we're doing it to make sure you're worthy of Dimitri.
Yes. Retroactively worthy.
And she is.
She is.
I like that the grandmother likes her because, like, you so are rooting for Rose and, like, you're rooting for Grandma to like Rose. You're like, please, Grandma, like her. You're like, Rose doesn't have a lot right now. Give her some love.
Yeah, but like even like towards the end, like it's like, look, you're worthy, but I'm not going to tolerate you being useless either. And you're being useless right now, so fuck off.
But
and I like that about Ava. She's just that like hard ass batty old woman.
Yep.
And it's great. Oh, it was funny. One part that I really enjoyed though was like while Rose is like being a pack mule, she's walking along and grumbling, and Ava starts like muttering under her breath in Russian, and Rose is like, what the fuck is she saying? And Nephew Pooh's just like, she's saying that Uncle Dimka wouldn't be complaining right now. He would just do what the old lady asked him, because that's what you do when an old lady asks you to do something. And Rose is like, God damn it.
Yeah.
So it turns out the house that Yeva took them to is the house of a Moroi woman and a Dampi man, and they are married. And it turns out they are also spirit user and shadow kissed. And Rose learned some cool new things, such as your bond mate can heal the insanity out of you when you pull it. Like, so he pulls the insanity from his wife, and then she heals it out of him, but they have to kind of like do a weird, like, okay, you're going to be insane for a little while and I'm going to be sane. And then when your insanity gets too much, I'll pull it from you. And then when it gets too much from me, you're going to heal me.
Well, because at first you're like, what a fucking cop out. Like, what the hell? And then it's like, but it's really difficult. And then you're like, what a not cop out and a clever solution.
Yes, because
it's not a cop out, because it's still difficult. And I like that. I like that there's a solution, but it's not easy and they still have to work for it, you know?
Yeah, because like, yeah, he was saying that because Rose ends up having a conversation with the husband out in the garden. And my impression from it was, while healing the insanity out of him will still cause some insanity for her, it's a lesser amount than what she healed. And but it also wakens her magic for a period.
Right. And he's like, he's like, it's taken, and she's like, so it just works? And he's like, no. It's taken us a while to figure out the balance, but we've figured it out kind of. And
it took years.
And she's also made me this charm so that in between healings, I'm not as crazy. And he's like, it's not easy. And so even though this is a solution, it's not a cop-out. And I love that, you know, because it's a way for them to be, it's a way for Rose and Lissa to be okay. And it's a way for them to work around it. But it's not a cop-out, and it's within the mechanics of the magic system. And I love it, because I like that the magic still has consequences, but it still has a solution.
Yeah, like, it's not going to be Rose pulling all of Lissa's insanity from her until Rose goes crazy, or Lissa keeping all of her insanity until she goes completely batshit crazy. It's Both of them have to get a little bit crazy sometimes.
Yeah. And like I said, the fact that everything still has weight and the fact that everything still...
There's still consequences to it.
Right. But there is still a solution makes it feel good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it effectively it'll turn them into people that have, because a lot of mental health issues, like there are some people that are prone to depression, and they'll go months or years fine, and then something bad happens in life, like generally pretty fucking bad, and then they go into depression, and then they come out of it, and then they go back in and out and in and out. Like they're not just constantly depressed or constantly okay. It's like a wave, and that's what that's what Mark and Oksana, who are these two people, have. They have like waves of sanity and not.
Yeah, but it works. And anyway.
So then they go back. Rose, Victoria has a boyfriend. Rose is like, this guy's sus, and you are dressed like an absolute whore. I'm coming with you to meet him. Victoria turns it back for a second. He's like, oi, once she fucks off back to school, how about you and I fuck? And she's like, what the fuck? And then Victoria comes back. They go off into the blood whore den, and Abe Mazur comes back, and he's like, I can get her out of there if you promise to leave here.
And she's like, why do you want me out of here? Who the fuck hired you? And he's like, I don't fucking talk
none of your
like
business.
That. He's like, none of your goddamn business. But you need to get out of here. You gotta go. And she's like, no. And he's like, how about we strike a deal? Because basically, and without saying it, I love that he doesn't say it. I love that she doesn't, like Richelle doesn't say it. But and Rose knows. And because he's basically like, he's gonna get her pregnant. Like,
because it turns out that this guy is also the father of grumpy pregnant sister's baby.
Yeah. And so he's like, he's gonna get her pregnant right now. Like, that's what he's doing right now.
While drinking her blood.
You and I can stop this. And she's like,
all you have to do is leave this village.
That's and she's like, nah. Like, and then she's like, what would Dimitri do? Dimitri would do what it takes to save his sister. And then she's like, okay.
Yeah. So
and then Victoria's really pissed about it.
Yeah. And they have a fight, and then Rose is like, and I can't even fix it. She's going back to school tomorrow. And then Rose wakes up, and Yeva decides to start speaking English now. And she's like, why are you still here? You have shit to do. Oh, that's right. Because also while in the village at some point, Rose met this group of Dampies that they're unpromised, which means that they're not guardians. They didn't graduate school, and they just took off to kill Strigoi on their own. And they're also leaving the next day to go on a Strigoi hunt. So Rose is like, I have a way out of town. Let's go. And she's like, well, I never actually told Abe where I would go after I left here, so I'm not really breaking the deal.
And she's not. So they go, and and they do Strigoi hunting for a while, and she's interrogating Strigoi, and she gets kind of she gets real aggro about it. And
that's it though. I thought she was looking for a while. It was the first night she was there that she found the Strigoi who knew Dimitri.
Yeah, but then it takes a while for anything else to happen.
Yeah, I think she's with them for about a week or two.
But also, like, it didn't feel that convenient because it takes her forever to find Dimitri. It feels like in book time, like in reading time.
Yeah, like we're halfway through the book now.
Yeah. So in book time, look, books, like things in books happen because some convenient shit happens. So it's not bad at all.
Yeah, and it was good as well because, like, when Rose finds the Strigoi who knows Dimitri, Rose had actually slipped up in her interrogation of him and said, "I'm looking for a Dampier." And he's like, he's just like, "Lol, he's a Strigoi."
And so she's like, "That was a fuck up, but it was a good fuck up."
Yes. So I guess he's not lying.
She's like, "Go me," and that's how she knows that he's not lying, because if she had said, "I'm looking for a Strigoi named Dimitri," he might have said it, but like she wouldn't have known, but because she was like a Dampier named Dmitri Belikov, he's like he's so happy to gloat that he's a Strigoi that she's like, I don't think he's lying.
Yeah. And
so it works.
And,
so even
and
though
really,
all of this is so convenient, there's also on a level where there's just another detail that you're like, this works.
And I do like as well that she struggled to get the others to agree to A, let this Strigoi go, and then B, when they finally agreed, it took them a while to get the Strigoi to fuck off and leave.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, you just tortured me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fucking kill you. And they're like, no, please go.
Yeah.
You have a message, go deliver it. Fuck off. And so he eventually does. So then, yeah, more or less they just spend the next, week killing Strigoi. And then, because they're staying with this girl who lives there. She's a Dampier as well. And so they go to walk her home from work. There's this weird, crazy homeless lady out the front, and Rose is like, I'll be up in a minute. I'm just going to go make sure she's okay. And then random Strigoi nausea appears, and she turns around, and it's Dimitri.
Yep.
And Rose hesitates.
At this point that like she's run into enough Strigoi, you're like, okay, at this point it's going to be Dimitri, and you're just like,
yeah, there's a reason why we're focusing on this specific Strigoi. So even if it's not Dimitri, it's going to be Dimitri related, but then it's definitely Dimitri. And she hesitates killing him, and then he scolds her and knocks her unconscious.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up in a luxury suite.
Yep. And she's
confused.
And then she also has a moment of like, I should have paid attention during those boring lessons about figuring out your surroundings. I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And you're yeah.
Yeah. And so she's sussing the place out. And there's all of the glass is built into the wall. Like it's all unbreakable. All of the furniture is like fucking one piece solid. There's nothing in the apartment at all that can be used as a weapon. But she still tries to break the window with a goddamn chair.
Well, and I don't fucking blame her. No. But I'm also like, Rose, that's going to be loud.
Yep, and then Dimitri walks in and she runs at him with the chair and he tosses it across the room. That's important, which is why I'm mentioning it.
Yep.
And then she's like, the fuck? And he's like, what the fuck? Like, yeah. And she's like, yeah. And then they fight and then he's like, calm your tits, I'm not going to kill you. And she's like, you're not going to kill me? And he's like, no, I'm going to awaken you, which is what Strigoi call getting turned.
Yeah.
And she's like, please don't. And he's like, well, I'm not going to yet. I want you to want to be awakened.
Yeah.
She's like, why? And he's like, because I'm nice.
It's so sad.
Yeah. So what happens from here on out with Rose up until she snaps out of it is Dimitri comes in, tries to convince her to become a Strigoi. They might have some idle chit chat, and then he drinks from her. And this happens multiple times a day.
And he's starting to get and she's starting to get high. And so
she's high as fuck all the time now.
And so like you want to be happy that this is happening, but obviously you can't be.
Yes, like Rose is just in a blissfully she's getting all pretty for him, and he comes and he gives her like shiny jewelry that he's probably taken off of a corpse, and she's just like, oh, but it's so pretty, thank you.
Yeah.
And she and then Adrian, because Adrian's also been talking to her in dreams, and he appears, but by this stage she's high as a kite, and so she's just like, he's like, what the fuck are you wearing? And she's like, don't I look pretty? And he's like, what's wrong with you? You're not you. And I can't remember why the dream ends in that.
I think because she's just, it's because he notices the bruises on her neck.
The bite marks. And then she's like, fuck off, and then wakes up.
Yeah, and like during all of this, like what sucks is that there are bits of Dimitri humanity, sort of, but not really.
Well, the humanity, like the Dimitri humanity, like the real hardcore, like where he was just like he's completely like his old self, was because he was holding the spirit ring.
Yeah, and like it's like if you took Dimitri's personality and made him a sociopath. That's what he is. And the only thing that this shows you is that there's a level of intelligence there, and that they're not just mindless monsters.
Yeah, they're literally so just sociopaths.
Yeah, but it's just so sad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the reason Adrian had reached out to her as well is because back at St. Vlad's, Lissa is just, her behavior is getting more and more out of control. She went to court for the weekend with Avery's Bam Bam, Adrian, and she was going to take Christian, but Christian's like, hey, why don't you take Jill? Because she wants to learn how to fight still, and she can hang out with Mia. And Mia can show us some water magic stuff, because they're both their specialties.
When she got mad at Christian for not wanting to go, I was like, I get it.
Yeah,
but also I get why he didn't want to go.
Yeah, and normally Lissa would be like, I understand, and like uncompelled Lissa would have actually been like, that's actually a pretty good idea, let's do that.
Yeah,
like I'll miss you while I'm gone, but I don't blame you for not wanting to go. I drag you to a lot of royal stuff, you hate it, and this is actually a valid reason to why not.
Yeah, but she's still really sad.
Yeah,
and the whole thing's sad.
Yeah, so then they get to court. Mia takes Jill away to do trainee stuff, and Lissa and the others just get fucking wasted. And Lissa goes to a party, ends up dancing drunk on a table, falls,
Which
and her
is
ex-boyfriend.
so not Lissa. Like, it is so...
Yeah.
It's like the first so not Lissa moment we have.
Yeah, other than like the little bouts of anger, because even when Spirit was driving her crazy, she wasn't mean to other people. It was all internalized depression.
Yeah.
But those were like snappy moments, and you can kind of justify them away in each individual moment. Like when she was snappy with Christian, it was like, well, yeah, no, I get it. He's doesn't want to go to court with you. When he rocked up with Jill to a training session, yeah, she felt a bit jealous, you know. And Adrian straight away, as soon as he met Jill, he kind of just took her under his wing as like a little sister, which was cute. I love Adrian and Jill's relationship. It's adorable because she's got the biggest crush on him, and he's just like, you're adorable, you little jailbait, you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's all he sees her as, just like this cute little teenage girl that he's like, I've never had a sister. You'll do. Hello, friend. And no, it's sweet. And then, yeah, so Lissa falls off this table and ends up being caught by her ex-boyfriend. And he's like, so I don't even get a thank you kiss. And she's like, that sounds like a great idea. So she makes out with her ex-boyfriend.
Again.
Not Lissa.
Not Lissa at all.
And Jill sees, because Mia had to drop Jill off with them a bit earlier in the evening. So Jill saw this and she's like, what the fuck? And Lissa's like, how absolutely dare you? And then Avery's brother almost beats the crap out of Jill, and they're like, what the fuck is happening? And Adrian's like, I'm just going to take the child away now. And then when they're on the way back to school, Lissa is starting to be like, what the fuck did I do? Why did I kiss Aaron?
Yeah.
And so she goes to talk to Jill, and she's like, I'm really sorry about how Reed was last night. That was pretty fucked up. And Jill's like, yeah, and I'm sure once you tell Christian what happened, like, I'm sure he's going to understand. you know, because Lissa is also like, you know, it was a joke kiss. It wasn't like anything, which in her head at the time, that's what it was.
Right. Which, and you know that to like normal Lissa, that wouldn't even make sense. That like anything could possibly be a joke kiss.
Yeah, no, sticking your tongue down your ex-boyfriend's throat is not a joke.
Yeah.
And Jill's just like, no, you got to tell Christian. And then Lissa screams at Jill for being immature and storms off.
Yeah.
And then Jill tells Christian, and Christian breaks up with Lissa. So now Lissa is just spiraling even more.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. So back to Rose now. Oh, that's right. Because Rose is in her head when this happens, and then Adrian and Avery walk up, and they're like, "Look, that sucks. Let's go. Let's go. Let off some steam."
Mm-hmm.
And then Rose feels like she's being physically pushed out of Lissa's head,
and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. And I think by this stage as well, because then one of the other Strigoi and Dimitri have a big fight. Mm-hmm. Oh, because he comes in to try and kill Rose or something because he's pissed off that she's there. And then the little maid chick jumps in, like when Rose tries to fight back, and then Dimitri comes in and it's all, and then after that's done, Rose is like, "Thanks for saving me." And he's like, "You're a fucking idiot. Just become Strigoi already, or this wouldn't have happened." Bye, and storms off. So Rose didn't get bit, and so she's starting to get some sense back in her head, and she's like, "This isn't good. Let's prevent bites now." Yep. So then she starts talking to Dimitri and talking his ear off every single time he comes. And then she goes back into Lissa's head at some point, and they're sitting down talking, and Lissa makes eye contact with Avery, and then Rose just hears a voice saying, "Oh God, it's you again. Just go away." And she gets pushed out again, and she realized that Avery had pushed her out.
Yep.
And she's like, "Well, this shit ain't good. I got to get out of here now. One, because I'm going to die or become Strigoi if I don't, today. And two, because that shit's fucked up." And then Rose is trying once again to try and find a weapon because she's coming back to her senses more and more. And then she discovers a crack in the chair from the first day after Dimitri had thrown it against the wall. Mm-hmm. So she keeps smashing it and smashing it. So now she's got a weapon. Then little maid chick comes in to give her food, and Rose steak to neck, and she's I loved her being like, numbers door.
Yeah, because she's like, "I picked up stuff," and it's been long. She's been in Russia long enough that you're like, "Yeah, she has." Like, so you believe too that she can speak no Russian, but she can say things. So she's like,
"Yes,
number, door number," and she's like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "Nah!" And she's like, "All right, fucking whatever." And so then she's counting, and then she's like, "All right," and then she's like, "Door 2," and then she's like, "What the double fuck?" And she's like,
"Yeah, because there's 2 doors."
Yeah, because it's double doored, and she's like, "Door 2," and then she's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And so then she gives her the second combination.
Yep, and then just as Rose is about to escape, wild Dimitri appears. So she's like, "Fuck, hide," because she knocked the maid unconscious by now and stashed her in the bathtub.
It was great.
And so Dimitri comes in, and then Rose just needs to prove to herself once and for all that Dimitri is not Dimitri. So she's like, "Why do you want me to turn?" And he's like, "Because I want you." And she's like, "That's the wrong answer," and stabs him in the chest with the wooden stake, which won't kill him, but it will kind of, stun him for a bit.
It does like what it does to the original vampires in the Vampire Diaries, where it just like it deads them for like half a second. Well, for the originals, it like kills them for like an hour or so. But like,
yeah,
it kind of
like
does the same thing.
One of the necks.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like you do something that would like kill a human, and it's like annoying, but it won't kill him.
Yeah, it's a temporary stunning measure.
Yeah.
So then she gets through the door, and then she smashes the keypad to try and prevent, being chased soon. And then she gets through the other door, and there's another. And the Strigoi that she tortured is there. So then she she has to try and lock him in between the two doors. And she manages to do that, and then breaks that keypad on. I don't think she actually does break the keypad, but he doesn't know the code. And then she realizes he can actually break the door down with enough hits. So she just bolts, and she's like, there's a vault here with weapons. I need to find it. She found another human servant. He took her to the vault because he didn't want her dead. She grabbed a stake and then tried to sneak out through a window. And Galena, which is the head Strigoi, was there. And Galena's about to kill her. And then Dimitri comes in and they start fighting. And then Rose kills Galena. But then the other Strigoi there, and they're fighting Dimitri. And Dimitri's looks at her like, help me. And she's like, fuck no, I'm out. And she bolts, and she has to run through a hedge maze, because Galena has a hedge maze.
And it takes her forever.
Yep, and Dimitri won the Strigoi battle of 2007.
And she's like, God damn it, the love of my life is a fucking badass. What is wrong with me? And
yeah, so then...
And he knows the hedge maze, so he really catches up to her, and they have a soup. The foot chase was fucking epic.
Yeah, and then she's like, fuck it, I can't outrun him. So I think she climbs up a tree or something so she can jump down on him.
Yeah.
So, because past the maze is woods, and then in the distance are city lights, which is the city she was in when he got her. So she's heading in that direction. And so she climbs a tree, he runs under, and he's like, where the fuck is she? She jumps down, they have a fight, and then she almost stakes him, but he blocks it, and it's fight, and then she manages to get away, but she knows he's going to catch up real quick. They're on a bridge, and she's like, okay, I'm going to suicide and went to jump. And he's like, hell no, you're not, because I still want to turn you. He grabbed her, and then she stakes him from a really weird angle, and she's like, I don't know, and then she's like, I love you, I will always love you, and staked him. He's like, that's what I should have said. And then he tumbled over, and she's like just devastated because she just killed Dimitri. And then she passes out on the side of the road for a bit.
And of course it's always gonna run, and then later it's always running through her head would he have said it there? And you're like
Yeah, she's like, if I just waited an extra second, would he have said he loved me back? And it's like, no, if you had waited an extra second, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
You did the right thing. And she knows that logically, but she's heartbroken, okay? It sucks.
Because you're heartbroken too. You're because you know that he's not Dimitri.
Yeah, but he's Dimitri, but he's not Dimitri.
But you want Strigoi to be able to see the light.
Yeah, because she also can't get out of her head the conversation they had while he was holding the spirit ring, where he was himself. And that's, again, really important in the next book. But, then this old couple pull over, and they're like, do you need help? But in Russian. And she's like, is that the place? And they're like, yes, that is the place. And she goes, you take me? And they're like, yeah, we'll take you. Get in car, child. And she calls Sydney from their phone. And Sydney sends an alchemist to meet them and be like, this is my stupid daughter, fucking kids, what are you gonna do? Type thing. And then Rose passes out again and wakes up she passes out a lot in this book.
She does.
Then she wakes up in another bed, and Abe is there, and B, so are Mark and fuck, I can't even remember the chick's name now. I said it before. Anyway, it's the spirit chick and the shadow kiss dude.
Now that I don't know what her name is.
Oh, fucking. Okay, I'm on the fandom page, and I will look up Mark.
Yeah, because I don't want to look up anything on the fandom page now that you're don't look up spoilers. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no. Especially, I can't actually, just don't at all, because that, like I already mentioned before, you have to like avoid Dimitri's, but there's someone else who you have to avoid too, and it wouldn't work if I told you. So just avoid it all.
Okay.
Oh fuck. Spirit. Oksana.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mark and Oksana and Abe are there, and she's like, why the fuck are you here again, Abe? And he's like, I told you to go home, you promised. And she's like, no, I promised I would leave the village.
Yep.
I did that. And he's like, well, I'll be more clear next time. And she's like, yeah, you do that. And then
yeah,
she's
but
like, oh.
when she wakes up and you see him, you're like, why is the mobster here?
Yes.
It's very effective.
And then she's like, oh, fuck, Lissa. Oh, Lissa, I have to get home. And they're like, yeah, no, you're going home tomorrow. And she's like, no, I need to get home now. And they're like, you're not. And she's like, but it's my bondmaid. And they're like, is she okay? And she's like, oh, fuck, I can check if she's okay. So
and then it's like, no, she's not.
Yeah, she's drunk as fuck and standing on a window ledge. Contemplating jumping, but in a fun way.
Yeah, but like, she's gonna die.
And that's one thing as well. When Rose was with Oksana before, she felt a pressing in her mind, and she found out that Oksana can reach into other people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a spirit ability that neither Lissa or Adrian have because they didn't know about it. So, yeah, I also like that there's a scale with each of the elements, but we've focused more with spirit. But
yeah,
like, there's some stuff that Adrian can do that Lissa can't do, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And then there's more stuff, and
because it makes them all unique.
Yeah, and like they each have their specialties. Like Lissa's specialty with spirit is healing.
Yeah.
And Adrian's is dream walking. He's the best dream walker of all the known spirit users in the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
So Rose is like, can you get into Lissa's head? And she's like, fuck no, she's in America, we're in Siberia.
Yeah.
And Rose is like, well, what if you go into my head and then I go into Lissa's, and then you can compel her while you're in my head while I'm in her head to get off the window ledge.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know if that will work, but fuck it, let's try.
Yeah.
Because Rose has worked out that Avery is a spirit user. And so Rose, like Oksana gets in Rose's head, Rose gets into Lissa's head, but she doesn't hear Oksana say anything to Lissa. So she's like, Oksana, where the fuck are you? And Lissa's like, Rose. And turns out, no. Like Oksana's being there kind of lets Rose and Lissa communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And we get one of the most epic showdowns in the entire series. Because it's kind of like half physical, half mental, and it's amazing.
It really is. It's really cool because it's like this weird psychic link, and you just feel how tired everybody is and how difficult it is for everyone. Because like Lissa's worn out and exhausted just from being used in, compulsion, and Rose is like obviously,
and she's drunk.
Yeah, and Rose is like half dead, and then it's really hard for Oksana, and the whole fight is difficult for everybody involved. So you feel the weight for all sides.
Yes. Yeah, so Rose is like trying to tell Lissa to get off the ledge. Lissa's trying, and then Avery's compelling her to, jump.
Yeah.
Go do a jump, and Lissa's like, I can't do anything, Rose. And so, but then Oksana kind of pushes through Rose to compel Lissa to step off.
Yeah.
And Lissa's sobering up every second that passes. Because it's been, I imagine it's been a few since she's had a drink. Like probably been about half an hour. So she's starting to slowly sober up, and she's trying, and Oksana's boosting her spirit, which is nice. But then wild, crazy brother appears, and he just starts trying to shove Lissa out the window.
Yep.
And So Rose is trying to communicate to Lissa how to fight, and she's not doing a great job, but she's trying, bless her. Lissa manages to hold her own against the brother.
Yeah.
Because at least she has some guidance, whereas he's just like blind rage.
Mm-hmm.
And Rose works out that Reed is shadow kissed to Avery.
Yeah.
Because Avery's just kind of sitting in a corner, just in a meditative state, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then Simon, the Guardian, appears, and then he starts trying to kill Lissa. And they're like, what the fuck is happening? And Lissa's like, why do you want to kill me? And he's like, no, you're going to die, but no one will notice because she'll bring you back. It's fine. And she's like, but no, this isn't going to happen. And then Adrian rocks up because he could feel the spirit being used. And then like they're all fighting. And then I think with Simon, because they managed to take Reed out, like knock him unconscious. But then with Simon, he's a guardian, he's trained, and they're just two Moroi that have never hurt anyone ever. And so they're like, okay, spirit time. So, and this is where everything gets fucked because Adrian, Lissa, and Oksana, all three of them try to compel him to all do different things. It blows a fuse, and Reed, Simon, and Avery are now all just insane.
Yep.
They broke their brains.
Yep.
So yeah, it turns out that Simon died a few years back. Avery brought him back from the dead, and then they killed Reed at some point
And brought him back.
and brought him back. And
they did that on purpose.
yes. And so what's happened is she wanted a shadow-kissed spirit user.
Yeah.
I guess to probably try and boost her own power. That's the assumption because they're all insane, so they can only kind of get a vague idea and fill in the blanks themselves. And then she wanted Adrian as a boyfriend, and she was compelling Adrian to like her.
Yeah.
So it was all a bit fucked up.
The whole thing was messed up.
Yeah. So then Rose goes back to Montana. Oh, not Montana. She goes back to Siberia, like back to her own body. But before she does, she's like, I'll be home. Oh, I'm coming home. I'm flying home tomorrow. And she's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Mark and Oksana mention, because then Rose asks about like the ring and Dimitri, how he was holding it. And they tell her that apparently they know another spirit user who was really insane, who said that he had turned a Strigoi back into a Moroi. And Rose is like, oh my God, no, I already killed him. God damn it.
I mean, you as the reader are like, yay, because he's not dead. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And like Mark is like, don't, like Oksana tells her, but Mark's like, look, the guy was insane. He was like well and truly on the road to Crazyville.
And I'm like, look, all the characters with the best information in this series are bananas. So
yeah,
who cares? What's the guy have to say?
Yeah, and they're like, we don't
Let's
even
go.
know where he is. His name's Robert DeRue. He does have a brother though. They were pretty close growing up. A half brother. His half brother is royal. He's pretty well known. It's Victor Dashkov.
And she's like, I know that motherfucker.
And Rose is just like, Victor. Oh, and then in her head, she's also just like, but Dimitri's dead, so Victor and I don't have to have this conversation. We don't, because Dimitri's dead. He's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead. So before she gets on the plane to leave, Abe, bless him, makes his bodyguard take off his jacket and give it to Rose to keep her warm, and then he gives her his own scarf. And Rose goes home, and Adrian picks her up from the airport, and it's really cute.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes her back to the school, and she goes and hangs out with Lissa, and Lissa's like, yeah, and they have that moment where she tells Lissa absolutely everything that happened. And Rose actually has a newfound, she doesn't see Lissa as so fragile anymore because of that one awesome punch she landed.
Yeah, and then also she doesn't see the need to like protect Lissa from everything that happened to Rose anymore either. Because like before she was, whenever something bad happened to Rose, Rose kept it from Lissa to protect Lissa. And this time she's like, she's like, we're both going through shit, so we're both going to talk about it because like your friends are going to go through shit while you're going through shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, y'all have to be there in like a hug
sometimes
circle.
Sometimes you have to go through shit together. And also Lissa now knows how much Rose was keeping from her as well. So if Rose even tried to fucking pull that shit on her again, Lissa would not be okay with that because she knows now.
Yeah. And like we just said, Rose has learned her lesson that like you're going to be going through stuff all the time and you can't just keep things from your friends because they're going through things too.
Yeah. And Lissa also says to Rose in this conversation as well, like, I don't want you to give up your life for me. If you want to protect me, if you want to be my guardian, that is absolutely okay. I would love that. But that's going to be because it's your choice.
And then
not
she's
because
also,
you have to.
Yeah. And then she's also just like, but I'm also like your friend too.
Yeah.
And I want to be your friend too.
Yeah. And she's like, look, if you want to protect me, that's fine. But our friendship comes first.
Yeah.
And so they actually have a really healthy two-sided friendship relationship from here on out. Like Rose still has I need to protect Lissa thing, but with the emotional stuff, like sometimes from memory, she still has those thoughts occasionally, but she's like, no, that's not fair. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So Rose has accepted that the way she kept things from Lissa wasn't fair to Lissa.
Yeah, well,
or to herself.
Well, because it's also normal to not want to be a burden on people. Yeah. So it's normal for all of those thoughts to not completely leave you.
Yeah.
But then it's a healthy level of I don't want to be a burden on my friend rather than like I so don't want to be a burden because she's too fragile to be my friend.
So I can't even tell her anything minor.
Yeah.
Let alone major.
Yeah.
And then after they have their like hours long heart to heart, Rose gets summoned to meet with the head guardian at the school. But on her way there, she runs into Mummy.
Yep. And
they hug.
And she cries.
Yep. And then Mum realizes the scarf because Oksana also healed all of Rose's neck stuff. So it's gone. And then, but yeah, Mum's like, where the hell did you get that scarf? And she's like, some guy gave it to me, some weird mobster dude I met over in Russia. He gave me a scarf. And she's like, that was Ibrahim's scarf. It's a fairly heirloom. And she's like, no, it wasn't Ibrahim. It was Abe. Oh my God. And then she's like, wait.
She's like, Abe, fuck.
And then she's like, don't tell me. And then her mum's face is like, okay, I won't tell you.
And then you also get like the interesting, there's so much subtext in that scene though, because you're like, oh my God, they're not like broken up.
Yeah, like I don't think they've seen each other in years, but it didn't end badly.
Yeah, you're like, there's like enough subtext. You're like, are they still like in love and like a thing? And you're like,
oh God, honestly, there's some scenes like Rose yells at them so much in future books for flirting in front of her. And she's like, can you not do a flirt? Okay, I'm standing right here. I am Spawn. I want to be only Spawn. I am more than happy being only child. Okay.
But also because like what's her mom's name? Fuck.
Oh, Janine.
Janine's personality and Abe's personality are such like interesting offshoots of Rose's personalities.
Yes.
And like you ship them so hard, but then to like find out that they're still kind of a thing, you're just like, oh my God, really? And it's fun.
But I also just love how Rose is just like, this is May. This May is my dad. My dad is May. I'm May Jr. This is Mayette even. And her mother's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's a lovely man.
You're like, he's such a nice guy. And she's like, he's fucking Al Capone, you crazy bitch. And she's like, I suppose he can come off slightly harsh. And she's like, does he do illegal shit? And she's like, oh, well, he's never been apprehended by the law. And she's like, mother.
And shit, like Janine, like kind of like has like these moments of, he's so sweet and
she's
handsome.
like, he's so nice. Like, look, you have his scarf. And she's like, bitch, what the fuck?
How did this happen?
And you're like, he's scared off like a dude with like a look. Motherfucker.
And she's like, how did I not know? And she's like, well, we thought it would be best if, because of some of his dealings, if he wasn't a part of your life at all.
And you're like, and he's not a bad guy. And she's like, no, he's very nice. And she's like, but he's arrogant.
Yeah, he's arrogant, manipulative, threatening. He's, oh my God, he's me.
I love it because it's another one of those introspective moments, and you're like, this is cute. But then also because of how sad this book is with like Christian and Lissa, and then Dimitri and Rose having like a cute offset, like off to the side romantic moment, gives you a little bit of reprieve.
Yeah, like it was a nice lighthearted almost end to the book.
Yeah, like it gives you something to just be like, it gives you something to ship while everything's going to hell.
Yeah, because then Rose goes and meets with Alberta after that conversation, and Alberta's like, I want you back. I want you to re-enroll, and you're going to become a guardian. And Rose is like, but I missed 6 weeks. And she's like, you missed 2 years. And you came back from that. So I will mentor you if I have to. And then she says something like, I'm really sorry about everything that happened. And Rose clicked on that Alberta knows that her and Dimitri thinged.
Yeah.
And
I like that the adults aren't dumb.
Yeah, but I also like that they're just like, well, look, he's dead and she's here. And like, let's just not make a big deal about it because it sucks. He was a good man.
Yeah.
He might have had a bit of an inappropriate relationship, but
here we are.
He was a good man.
He's dead. We
and
can't
she's sad.
Punish him. And then
she's sad.
And then they, and then Rose is like, I'll think about it. And then they like give her all the reasons to do it. And she's like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. And they're like, wait, what?
She mentions it's like, her friend Grip and her mother, and her mother's like, you have to. And everyone's like, you have to. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll fucking do it, okay? Calm down.
And they're all like, wait, what?
She's like,
just
why
like,
wouldn't I?
You'll do it? And she's like, yeah, sure. And they're like, hold on. You can't just Rose. And she's like, what? You just said you wanted me to do it. And they're like, yeah, but like, we weren't done talking you into it.
Yeah. And then Adrian pulls her aside and he's like, so that money.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay. So then Adrian pulls Rose aside and he's like, that money I gave you, it did come with strings, remember? Like, it came with the string that if you went to Russia and, hey, Addie, oh, wait, no, you can't fucking, you even said you don't have sound. I lost where, oh, yeah, so Adrian gave her the money to go hunt Dimitri down with the condition that she would actually give him a fair chance at a relationship when she got back. So he's like, you did say that. And she's like, okay, well, write me a relationship proposal. Tell me all the things you're going to do if you're my boyfriend. And he's like, okay, I'll go do that then. And I had practice writing essays because I took this note for you because she had called Adrian off of Abe's phone. So then Abe called Adrian and was like, tell Rose that I spoke to Robert's brother and he said as long as he is where he is for the rest of his life, he's not talking, so bye. And she's like, okay.
And then she's like, there's no
worries.
Point. And like I was half expecting it to be like a secret note from Doug, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. He was talking to him on the phone.
Yeah. So then Rose goes back to her room and there's a package for her. And she's with Lissa. And Lissa's like, what's that? And Rose is like,
And then I was like, whoop, there it is.
yeah. And there's Russian postmarks. And she opens the envelope, puts her hand in, and she feels something cylindrical and metallic. And she's like, oh, fuck no. And pulls out the stake she stabbed Dimitri with.
Oh, real quick. Maggie, I just thought of this because Addie showed up. If you want me to send you the EPUB of Blackwoods so that you don't have to read the hard copy, I can do that. Sorry, go for it.
Okay. And in the envelope was also a note saying, I can't remember word for word, but it was more or less just like, you should have made sure the stake was in deep enough. I guess I have to come to you now. I'll see you soon.
And you want it to be romantic, but you know it's not.
Yep. And yeah, and then effectively, and then Rose is like, still got X amount of weeks of school. He can't get to me here. And we'll deal with it after.
Also like, I just promised I wouldn't drop out.
Yep.
She's like, all I had to do was wait 5 seconds.
Yeah, and she kind of goes like, hey, Lissa, you remember that promise you made about suicidal missions and coming with me? Like, you might actually have to follow through.
Yeah, she's like,
and then the book ends.
She's like, so, how do you feel?
Good times.
Well, I know that you're not against the hardback, but I mean, like, that way you don't have to open it and, like, use it.
What, so it can just stay unread on the shelf?
Well, hardcovers are meant to be pretty and not touched.
Lol. They do show wear less than paperback, though.
They do, but you kind of risk damaging the dust jacket.
Yes, you
do. I know that he, like, collects the books.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I will send you one you do not have to hurt. Because you can't hurt it that way.
Very true.
This is why I was planning on buying multiple. I'll save you the effort. You've bought me so many books. I'm like, you can just have it.
Have gift.
You don't have to do that.
So yeah, that was this one. So yeah, the next one is obviously based on everything that's happened in this. It's going to be based on curing Dimitri of Strigoism.
Yeah.
Because there's a potential way, and Rose wants to find it now.
Yep.
And yeah, so the next book's good, and so is the last one. They're all good. I'm excited.
You know, and it's hard to have a book with like such a like, what am I trying to say? With such a prominent romantic subplot that where like they're not together the entire time and it's still interesting.
Yeah, well, like the plot of the 4th and 5th book of the series is the romantic subplot.
Yeah.
Like that's the main plot.
And in this one, the romantic subplot is nothing but tragedy, but at the same time, it's still interesting because like the rest of the story stuff's interesting.
Yeah, and even when it gets less tragic, it's still tragic until it's not.
Yeah.
Because we all know it's not like that's not how it ends because it's YA.
Yeah, but even though you know that, like the rest of the universe is so interesting that like it keeps your your attention.
Yeah, and I do like as well that because like this isn't a spoiler for the next book either because you know Adrian and Rose, like Adrian said, like Rose, you said you'd give me a shot, and she's like, yeah, I did, so let's do that type thing.
Yeah.
So while there's technically a love triangle in the last one, I can't remember when it ends, the last 1 or 2 books, I think it's the last 2 books. It's not a love triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know, like there's the 2 guys fighting over the girl type thing. It's just like, no, I'm with Adrian now. Until she's not. Like she's still in love with Dimitri the whole time, but it's not your stereotypical YA love triangle.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you want to tear your hair out.
Yeah.
You're like, I get it. I understand the love triangle in this one.
Yep.
But yeah. But in the meantime, before we get to the next good book.
Yes.
We
Tuesday.
We're doing Tuesday? I thought it was Monday.
Addie has a 9 a.m. on Mondays. Did I not tell you?
I thought that was on Tuesdays. That's why we did Monday last week.
We did Tuesday last week, I believe.
I swore it was Monday. We'll work it out. Now I'm confused though.
Because I asked her and she said I think I didn't tell you.
Okay, that's fine.
Is Tuesday okay?
Yeah, I'll make it work. That's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Teresa's a dick.
Maybe it was Tuesday because also that one as well. It's the novella, so it'll be a short one.
Yeah, so Tuesday and Saturday.
Yes,
Is what we're doing next week.
We're doing Neferet's Curse and Revealed next week.
Yeet!
Yay, we get to read Neferet's diary. Sorry, Emily's diary. Emily, I think it's Emily.
Nefret being named Emily is not okay.
Yep.
It's just not.
She cycles.
Anyway. But yeah, this book is good. These books are good, but they make me cry.
Yes. Well, you know what though? They make you cry in a good way.
Yeah.
And if a book, they're supposed to make you cry because the scenes are written that way, okay? She wants you to be devastated, and you do. You get the devastated, and that's what a good author does. They make you devastated when you should be.
Yeah. So,
So
with that, thank you for watching, and yeah, I think that's it.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I am bad at this right now. I don't know. I'm tired. I didn't go to bed.
Let's just say